Hello, everyone. This is Molly from the Casually Molly podcast, and I just wanted to introduce you to my friends at the Natty Cat. This one is for you cool cats and kittens who can't get enough of wordplay and fur babies. The Natty Cat's natural soy candles feature inventive scent combinations in glass jars with clever kitties on the labels. Hand-purred with locally sourced natural soy wax, the Natty Cat's candles wood wicks create a cozy fireside crackling sound, perfect for curling up on the couch. Remember, for all of your candle and scented oil needs, please visit our friends at the Natty Cat either on Facebook or Instagram.
Have you ever wanted to get your shit together? Scrap it, look through the lens and capture it. But first world problems are getting you down. Disabled, salty, needing a laugh to fix that frown. Well, you can do all those things and so much more. Just grab a seat in the chair or the floor. Sit back, relax, recline. Well, she drops another casual line. You're tuned into Casually Molly with Molly and Bergie.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Casually Molly podcast. I am your host, Molly Ambergy. Remember that you can always check out an episode every week, and you can stream wherever you stream audio, and on video, you can watch us on YouTube and Facebook. Normally, it's Casually Molly, and I'm Molly Ambergy, but today we've got Casually Molly squared because on my right is I don't know which side to point. Here we go. We have country music star Molly Lovette. How are you doing today, Molly?
Hey, Molly. I'm good. How are you?
I know we were chatting beforehand, and I know that's showbiz, right?
Oh, yeah. But
I just wanted to say thank you again for coming on. How I kind of found out about you, as I was telling you earlier, was I ended up finding you on Facebook one night, and I was like, oh my God, I love this girl's music. I think you just have like a really like fun, go happy vibe, but you're also kind of a badass at the same time, which is great. So
thank you.
Yeah, it's a great combination to have.
Yeah.
And I know that you're going to play some music for us at the end for your new single, One Woman Show. So very exciting.
Yes.
But Molly, let's kind of talk about you for a little bit. I know you said right now you're in Kansas City. So what are you doing up there?
Yes, I am not usually in Kansas City, but it is actually it's one of my very best friend's 21st birthdays today.
Aww.
So I surprised her and I drove up, and we're gonna go celebrate tonight. So I'm in Kansas City for the day.
Oh, I love that though. Well, that's like, what's your friend's name? Do you mind saying it? We'll wish them a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sam. She has been Sam. Yeah, one of my best friends since like we were probably 5 or 6 years old.
Oh, that's so nice. Don't you love you have friends like that have lasted with you for so long?
Yes, it is so cool. That's what my family always says. Like, old friends are the best friends. Like, people that have known you forever, like they're the best.
Oh, no, I agree. Absolutely. I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, so I still have friends from Cincinnati up through St. Louis. But speaking of my background, let's actually talk about yours. So let's tell us a little bit, Molly. I know there's probably a lot that goes into this question, but and I'm sure you get asked a lot. How did we get from, where were our humble beginnings into now singing One Woman Show for us? How did we get there?
Loaded question. So, growing up, I was always surrounded by music. Like my family is a big music family. We grew up just listening to music in the house or in the car, and music was always playing. Like, my family loves, especially live music. I actually went to my very first concert when I was 5 years old. I went to see Tim McGraw with my family.
Yeah, of course.
It was great.
Tim McGraw.
Oh, right. Yeah, we love Tim McGraw. And my grandpa was actually a drummer in his own band back in the day. My grandma wrote songs all the time and she sang. And so that kind of inspired me. I mean, I grew up doing all of the talent shows, in grade school, high school, that whole thing.
Yeah.
I wrote my own songs even, and I would perform them at my own little talent shows. And so that was always the dream growing up, was like, what do you want to be when you're older? Oh, I want to be a famous singer. Like, that's what I'm going to go do. But it wasn't until my freshman year of college, I went to Murray State University in Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And that was the year that I released my first album. So I had a bunch of songs that I had written throughout my high school years. And I wanted to record them. And so my guitar player, who I played with sometimes, was nice enough to help me out, and we recorded in his home studio. And I got to release my first album. I had a big album release party, and I got to perform my first full band show, which was so cool. And that was kind of the turning point, was that album release party. I mean, we had I think it was close to 400 people show up.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was just like taken aback.
Yeah.
I did not think that. Yes, it was crazy. Like, it was that moment on after that show that I was like, whoa, like, yeah. People believe in me and people like my music, and they it was really cool. Like that had always been a dream, but I had never had that confidence and that, that drive now to go for it. So after the album release party, it was time to go back to school. I had to go back to Kentucky, and it was about a couple weeks into school, I called my parents and I was like, guys, I'm not really into the whole school thing anymore. Like, I think that, music, that's what I have to do. And they were totally supportive. Like, they were like, okay.
That's so nice to hear.
Yes. Yes. It was, a lot of people are surprised, but they were like, okay, if this is what you want to do, we think you can do it. We believe in you, and let's put a plan together, and let's take this seriously and see what we can do. And so we decided, I wouldn't go back to school, that we were going to do this 100% and go for it. And that's what we're doing. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, it seems to be working out great. I mean, I'm so excited for you. Like I said, I'm already a fan, so fangirl over here. Have you, let me see here, have you had a favorite venue that you've performed at, or a favorite show that you've had so far during your career other than your album release party?
Right. That one is up there for sure. So one, actually, it was this summer during these crazy times. So I got to perform at the St. Louis Powerplex, which they were doing some drive-in movies and concerts. And they were put in Forbes magazine, they were one of the first drive-in concerts, because I know those are kind of happening now. Yeah. But I was able to perform at one of their drive-in concerts, and it was so cool. It was just so different than anything that I had ever done. It was funny, instead of people clapping and cheering, it was honking of the horns, in the car, and it was very interesting. It was different, but it was really cool. Something I'll never forget, for sure.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's actually kind of interesting that you hit on that topic, just because it is such a big thing right now. Because in comedy as well, what people are doing is, I have friends out in LA, and they do a lot of drive-in shows now too. I've seen people who are doing musicals in beds of pickup trucks.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's the craziest thing, but it's also kind of the coolest thing, like you said as well, kind of seeing the community come together at this time, even though it's definitely not your quote unquote traditional. I mean, you are bringing back that drive-in movie scenario just with live music. So I'm really excited for you. What did you, was there a big hit that kind of went well with the show that helped you kind kind of get through it all?
Yes, I actually, so it was close to Memorial Day weekend, I believe, that I played, and I played Proud to Be an American, and it was, oh my gosh, like it was, people were like yelling out of their car windows singing, and like, it was really cool. And that's what I love about, you know, when I get to play shows like that, like seeing people interact and being so excited, especially during these times. It was really cool.
Gotcha. No, I appreciate, like, again, because we've been doing that with the podcast too. As you can see, we're doing like virtual interviews, trying to kind of navigate through everything. Like there was a time where I had to record from I live in a loft in St. Louis City. So I was like, well, this is going to be my recording studio.
Right. This is it for now. Yeah.
I was about to say, how do you feel with, again, this is going to be kind of a loaded question, but how do you feel with the music industry during this time? Like, have you been seeing it, I guess, like flourishing, or, I mean, how do you see it kind of navigating through, you know, what maybe we kind of have an unknown future? How do you see it kind of working through now?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. It's been, honestly, the past few months, I think have helped me personally as an indie artist, you know, someone who isn't signed and who's kind of doing things on their own. I have a team, and I have, you know, my publicist, Brickshore Media, and my producer and agent and everything. But for someone who's trying to do a lot on their own, it's honestly helped doing a lot of the things like this, like the virtual interviews and all of the like Facebook and Instagram live streams that I've got to do. I've honestly gained a lot of new fans and supporters who have found me through social media, because you know, there was, I mean, a couple months back, like my family, we didn't leave our house. Like we were home, you know?
Yeah.
And so during that time, it was like, all we did was look at stuff online, or, you know, we love live music. So we would try to, you know, we'd find new artists and people. And I feel like a lot of people did that. So it honestly helped me a ton. And I know a lot of other indie artists a ton, being able to have this time off from real life. But it's also really hard because, you know, it's been good. We've been gaining a lot of new fans and people, but we have to make money too. And it's been hard to not be able to play a ton of shows like we're used to. So that's been hard. And then again, with like the touring artists having to cancel all of their tours and things, it's crazy. So yeah, I'm hoping we'll see what 2021 holds if we can get back on tour and travel and perform. But yeah, it's honestly helped. I think it hasn't been terrible for my career.
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to say, like I said, that's how I discovered you, was through social media. And I feel like that has been such a good outlet for, like you said, indie artists. I mean, I know as a podcaster and even doing stand-up comedy, that's helped me to kind of reach out to people, because then all of a sudden people are like, hey, I'm kind of interested in your podcast. I'm kind of interested in this genre. Yeah. So I get it. There was a point where we were all just on lockdown. And I was like, maybe I should start reading, because I think I've watched Netflix. So it's
right, literally, yes.
got to start growing from there. But what we talk about in comedy is, you know, we maybe did some like writing during quarantine. Did you do any writing for your music while you were in quarantine?
I did. I wrote a few songs, but I actually found it harder to write during quarantine, because I do, most of my songs that I write are about my life and my experiences and things. So being cooped up at home and not going out and doing things, it was harder to write. I kind of had to peel back into like past things and like past emotions and kind of write about those things. So it was a little harder to write.
Honestly, that is the most honest thing I've heard anybody say, because like, most of the time you talk to people and people are like, oh, you know, I wrote and I picked up the language and I went gardening. And you're like, no, it was hard.
It was.
I get that, because as a comedian, like we go to open mics, right? And we do shows, and And when you're trying to work out a joke, you have to do it for a live audience. So it's been strange. We tried out like these Zoom shows, right? And then that sometime helped. Did you do any like shows via online, or are you solely doing podcasting or?
So I, during the lockdown, when we were all like home, I did a weekly Facebook Live. So I would call it Requests Live with Molly Lovette. So I would do like strictly requests. Like people would come on and give me a song, and I would look it up really quick and try to figure it out. So it was really fun. That was like, it was challenging to me, which I love. And people liked it because I got to play, songs that they wanted to hear. So that was what I did. I did a weekly Facebook Live show.
I love that idea because I'm such a fan of like when you go to a piano bar and the pianist is sitting there and you're like, oh, you just request like Teenage Dream by Katy Perry or something. And then all of a sudden they do like some slow melodic like interpretation of it. And you're like, what? I want to give people all my money, right? So that's how I would feel about you. I'd be like, hey, so I'm already impressed. That's something I've always admired are people that can just be like, oh, 1 minute, let me just do this. And
let me just figure,
But that's fantastic. Good for you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Not a problem. Casually Molly love it. So,
right.
There you go. So we're fun. So anyway, this is when we like have finally released it out of quarantine, Molly. Like even though the pandemic, we're just like we can finally talk and have a good discussion with somebody.
Right. Yes. For sure.
For sure. What I will ask you is, and correct me if I'm wrong. You have like a country music genre. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why country music?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually grew up listening to all kinds of music. Like my family, like I said, big music lovers, were always listening to music. But I took to country. My grandma and grandpa on my dad's side, they were big country music people. Like I remember anytime we were with them, it was always country music. And I guess I just kind of fell in love with the storytelling of country music. Like I love Taylor Swift is one of my biggest inspirations. I know.
Who doesn't love Taylor Swift? I don't.
Right. Okay. No, I know. Right. Like some people really don't like her, but I just don't get it. Like she's the best. She's the best.
Who doesn't?
But I grew up in that. I grew up in that like Taylor Swift era of like that was all I listened to. It was like Taylor Swift, Carrie Underwood, Tim McGraw. Those are my people, and that's just I fell in love with the stories of country music and the way that they wrote. And I don't know, I feel like I'm not dissing on any other genres because I love all music, but I just love the way that country music artists write and just the songs. And that's what I fell in love with country music.
Oh, I don't blame you. I still remember when Carrie Underwood won American Idol. And I still remember having the landline in our house. And I was like, Mom, Dad, like I got to call into this number.
Yes.
And after like 12 or 15 times, I like finally got through. And because everybody was calling in. And when she won, I was like, seeing like a woman who was a country star and she like won American Idol. You're like, this is fantastic, which that's what I kind of see in you. So that's a really good example of you. No, for sure. Like what I like about you is, one woman show, no pun intended here, but like it's interesting to see that, like, you're doing all this, you're helping produce your brand, you're doing all these shows, which I think is really great for young women and just women in general, but particularly young girls who were like us, right? That looked at like Carrie Underwood and like all these country stars, and they'll probably watch this and look at you and go, wow, I want to be like Molly someday. So oh my God, of course. And I'm not just saying that. that. Like what's really relevant right now and should be always is that, we really need to have strong women in pursuit of their dreams and their passions. And that's something that you're doing and something that I like to highlight on the podcast. So what I'll ask you is, for somebody who is a young woman interested in country, looking at that guitar, wanting to pick it up, what is some advice that you would maybe give to them for this journey?
Yeah, I am all about the female empowerment and going for your dreams. Because I did have a lot of people, when I decided to leave school, saying like, "Are you sure? Like, is that's not really realistic?" And so yeah, for anyone who loves music or plays guitar or sings or is interested, just be confident in yourself. And I know that's hard to just hear someone say that and be like, "Yeah, you're right. I can do this." But because it took me a long time, for me to be able to say, yes, I'm gonna do this, and this is what I'm meant to do. But just believe in yourself. You know you, and as long as you stay true to yourself and you're happy what you're doing what you love, then there's no harm in that. Like, that is, you have to go for it. You have to do what you love. So yeah, just believe in yourself and stay true to yourself, I think, is the biggest thing, is to not get caught up in what other people think or what you think other people want you to be. So that is my piece of advice.
Yes, no, I couldn't agree more, because I feel like, and it's interesting how I was, you had touched on this earlier, and that's why I loved your parents' reactions, just because I was in dance and I did theater, and it's always interesting. Even though I finished college, I did theater in college, and the thing about that, so the thing about that was, though, is that I have a similar story in regards that people, when I was like, I'm going to be a theater major, people are like, oh, well, that's like such a waste of time. It's like unrealistic. But it wouldn't, if I hadn't have followed what I thought was the path for me, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And I feel like you feel the same way. You wouldn't be on your journey where you
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Now,
100%.
100%. Yes. I was going to ask you too about the storytelling that you were talking about in country music. Can totally relate to that. Again, being in comedy and theater, all about storytelling. Is there a certain story in one of your songs that really resonates with you, that whether it was kind of maybe in your early stages of your career to maybe like your new single that you have now, that I think maybe if you had a moment where it really hit you and you felt like you told the story that you wanted to tell?
Yeah, I think especially with this new single, I was so excited to release this one, just because, again, like I said, I'm all about that female empowerment and, going for your dreams and everything. So I'd actually written One Woman Show about a year ago, last August, and it was during a time where I had just kind of started this whole journey. I had just started playing places and performing and doing all of this, and it was funny. Like, a lot of the people who would come to my shows, they'd ask me about my music and all of that, and that was awesome. But a lot of people would ask, like, "Oh, and do you have a boyfriend? Like, what? Do you have a boyfriend?" And I'm like, no, like, I'm really just, I'm focusing on the career right now. Like, I'm going for this, and I'm just really focused on this right now. And I was just getting so, it doesn't like make me upset. Like, that's, that's a question people ask. But I was like, it's okay to not have a boyfriend and to be independent and going for, your dream and something you love. And so that was a message that I needed to write for myself, but also for all the other women out there who, are in similar situations, who are just needing time for themselves. And don't get me wrong, like, it's great to have a boyfriend and all that, but
Sure. Yeah, I got what you're saying.
But it's also, you need time to focus on yourself and to just be you and do you for a while. So that was a really important message that I wanted to get out there, and I'm glad I got to do with One Woman Show.
Absolutely. I couldn't relate to you more because it is funny how people ask you that question, and it's like it never is in a hurtful manner. They're probably so amazed by you that they're like, anybody that would have her would be so lucky, And, but it's like, that's literally, and I totally understand that. But for a long time in my 20s, because I'm going to be 30 now, so very exciting stuff. Yeah, I know, right? Milestone. But why I bring this up is that I was single throughout that whole time, and I was like producing shows and doing comedy, and like you sometimes need that time to figure out what you want to do. And I commend you, especially in the industry that you're in. Sometimes like you do have to focus on it, because there's always people that are going to come in and out of your life, but your music and your craft is something that's important to you. So I completely understand. And I mean, yes, now I'm dating somebody, but he's in stand-up comedy too, so he understands how I feel.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a different vibe per se, but yeah, beforehand, I was just a free agent, just working on my craft and doing what means, that's important to you. So I really appreciate your honesty on that for sure. So now, I may have touched about this earlier, but are you from Kentucky or? Yes.
I am actually from St. Louis.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yes. So I am, born and raised St. Louis.
Okay.
But I just went to school in Kentucky for a year.
Okay. The reason why I was just asking was because there's a lot of like country influence in Kentucky too. So being from Ohio, I was like, oh my God, we were just a river apart. Yes. What I will say, since we do have a lot of people from St. Louis, so this is a great actually turnaround question here.
Yeah.
What I will ask you is, since you are from St. Louis, we have a lot of fans who are like, fans of Ted Drew's or, The Hill, something. Is there like a favorite St. Louis place of yours that really means a lot to you, or something that you remember from your childhood, or even now that you're just a really big fan of?
Honestly, the zoo. My family would go to the zoo all the time. And like still, we love the zoo. And St. Louis has the best zoo, apparently. Yes. But I have so many memories of just going to the zoo all the time with my family. But St. Louis is awesome. We go to Cardinals games all the time, and then with the Blues winning the Stanley Cup and everything, that was a blast, going to Ballpark Village and doing all of that. St. Louis is such a cool city.
Yes. Oh, totally. I mean, that's why I moved here, just because the community is so awesome here, and it keeps getting, I feel like, at least for me, and maybe it just keeps getting better and better each year. There's always something new that keeps getting. I haven't gotten to the aquarium yet, but I hear
I haven't either.
So that's what it made me think of when you said the zoo, which it is the zoo also. So thanks to everybody. We're going to talk about the St. Louis Zoo in a second.
Right. Sorry.
But I really was a huge fan when I first moved here of that penguins exhibit, just because I couldn't believe how close they were to you. I was like, oh my God, is somebody? And they're like, oh no, it's just their habitat. But I was like, they're so cute. I was like, I just want to, give them a hug. I know. So trust me, I think that is the cutest memory for sure. I was just there in Art Hill yesterday, so I was walking around Forest Park. Yeah, so I don't blame you at all for feeling the way that you do. But yeah, has there been a certain show? So I know we talked about the drive-in and whatnot. Has there been a certain show in St. Louis before maybe all of this began, or just a certain gig you had that was kind of memorable for you here in our city?
Yeah. So actually, this past January, I did a show. It was called the Kindness is Free concert. And we did it down at Helen Fitzgerald's. And
I know exactly where that is. I'm sorry. Go
really?
ahead.
Oh, nice. Cool. It's a cool place. Yeah. But we actually did it. It was a big fundraiser concert in honor of one of our really good family friends, Lauren Murphy, who she years ago was in an accident. She was out running and was hit by a car.
Oh my.
So she has a traumatic brain injury. But she now, like, literally a miracle. Like, doctors said, you know, she might not ever walk or talk or anything again. And she now, like, does public speaking engagements and is like a motivational speaker and crazy stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, so we did, oh my gosh, yeah, we did a big fundraising concert in honor of her. And one of her quotes that she talks about in her speaking engagements is kindness is free. So that's what we named the concert, and we had some kindness is free t-shirts and did the whole thing. So yeah, that was really cool because her whole family was there, she was there, and yeah, it was a really memorable night for sure.
Oh my, I absolutely, that just seriously just moved me. I know that sounds so dramatic, but I'm like, oh my God, that's the nicest thing I've ever heard. But I, like, first the story alone, and then on top of it, you got to be a part of it and also do what you love doing it. And I think that's almost like so admirable, Molly, to be able to do what you love for other people and still pay it forward at the same time. So props to you for still doing that. That's great. Oh my gosh, not a problem. I actually love Helen Fitzgerald because they have a great stage setup for sure.
Yes,
and it's so nice and open. You got my boyfriend, we celebrated his 30th birthday there, and that staff, shout out to them. So they are fantastic. Love them, but love you for doing that. That is super awesome. Even makes me like you even more. I was like, I like your music. Now I like the person. This is going to be fun. I like it. I was like, good morals, good music. This is great. What I will ask you too is, does your family, you said that you kind of come from a musical family, do they ever perform with you?
I wish they would. So they do not. So my dad actually, he's the one who taught me how to play the guitar. He plays, and he kind of taught himself too. He just kind of bought himself a guitar like when I was young. Like he just kind of picked it up and figured it out, and then taught me a little bit, and I continued on and tried to figure it out. But yeah, he's really good. He can also just pick up and play the piano and figure stuff out on there too. Like he's very, very musically inclined, and he can sing, and he will never let anyone know, but he's actually a really good singer. So I always ask him to play with me, or some shows I play, they want a duo instead of just me. And I'm like, Dad, you can play with me. And he's like, that's all right. Nope. But yeah, so no, he's honestly really good. My sister can play the piano a little bit too. She also we have one at our house, so she'll like mess around on it sometimes and figure it out. My mom really loves to sing. I'm not going to say she's the best singer, but she really loves to sing. She's not bad. No, she's going to yell at me for this now, but no, she's not bad. But she really loves to sing. She likes to karaoke.
Oh, me too. Sign me up, Mom. Let's do that. Right. I think that is the sweetest thing, though. Who knows? Maybe we'll see a Lovette family event in the future at Helen Fitzgerald's, and we'll see everybody perform. I was like, that is such a cool thing to hear. What a musically talented family. But everybody is so humble about it. Like, I'm just like, oh, okay, that's fantastic. That's probably why you're so nice. So, of course. What I will ask you to here, when you're doing like country, for example, I hear a lot of acoustics, and then also like sometimes people have like a background band, or sometimes they add like their own like electronics and stuff. Is there any way when you're producing music, do you prefer using your acoustic guitar? Do you like having a band in the back? What's something that you prefer as an artist that you feel gets your message across?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to play on my own. I feel like it's more intimate that way at some places, but I really do love having a full band with me, just because, yeah, you get a taste of all of the instruments. Like, I love an electric guitar. I just love the sound of it. Sometimes I'll have a fiddle player. I have a good friend who went to high school with me who plays the violin, fiddle, and so she'll play with me sometimes, which is like my favorite thing ever. I just think a fiddle is so cool.
Oh, I do too. I always am impressed, especially like when you watch those shows like America's Got Talent, because I'm such a sucker for stuff like that. Yeah. And like these like little kids are starting like play the fiddle, and I'm like, that is the coolest thing. Or when they play the harmonica, I'm like, take me home, I'm ready. Right. But that's fantastic. So then she's going to join in with the reunion band. I'm really excited with the Lovette family show. Great.
I love it. Yes.
I can't wait for this show, guys. So follow Molly, also follow her whole family, follow her friend who plays the fiddle. I'm excited. That actually brings me up to, for like music and stuff. So for country, sometimes like, speaking of Tim McGraw, right? He'll cross over his music into rap sometimes, or things like he did that single with Nelly over and over again. And he's known sometimes to kind of do things like that, which like, more power to him. That's super fun. Do you think maybe, and forgive me if you've already done it, but is that something you maybe see in your future coming up, like something maybe where you're going to collaborate with somebody on something?
Yeah, I think, I don't have anything planned for that in the future, but I think that if the opportunity came, honestly right now, one of my main goals is to just reach more people and to get my name out there and to introduce myself to people and hope that they'll like my music and like me. And so if that was, if that felt right and it was something that I thought would be a good opportunity and my team thought would be good, then I would totally be down for something like that.
Okay, cool. No, I always wonder about that, just because sometimes I feel like some genres are good by themselves, but I mean, being in theater and being like, there's always something maybe sometimes where you can collaborate something. I've seen like poetry done over music, and like that's kind of interesting with writing. You're putting basically music to a song. What I'll ask you though, you were talking about like reaching people and kind of like branding yourself. Has there been any like not like obstacles, but like, has there been anything kind of like challenging that you've overcome during like making and branding yourself over time?
I mean, I feel like honestly the whole thing has been a challenge.
Right.
Just trying to get myself out there. I mean, I just started this whole journey of like going 100% for it just a little over a year ago.
Oh, okay.
So like I remember even this past December I got to go to the CMA Christmas party with my publicist, which was super cool. Yeah, I was so excited. And the number one thing that a lot of people asked me was, well, how many Instagram followers do you have?
Yeah.
And at the time, I'm getting my way up there. I'm almost to 5,000, close. But at the time it was like 2,000, and I was like, yeah, but I'm just starting. Like, I promise I'll get it up. And they were like, okay, well, we'll talk again when you're at 10K. And I was like, okay. So it's just, the whole thing is just like trying to build up the following and to get people to want to follow.
Oh, well, absolutely. Well, I follow you, so there's a plus, obviously. One more person. There we go. Right. We got the podcast following you. We got my personal account. We're going to be just fine.
Thank you.
So don't worry. So when the next time you hit up that Christmas party, you're going to be like, listen, I just got 2 more followers. So
right. Just so you know. Yeah.
Just so you know. No, that's what we talk about too, because this is the entertainment industry, right? Like, and no matter where you're at what point, you're always building up that following. And, like what I liked about yours, and I was like, oh my gosh, like you have a pretty and this is going to be on film and on audio, so everybody's going to hear me say this, you've got a good following of people. Like, I can tell, like, people are liking what you're doing, people are supporting you, and I mean, you started from your album release party, and then now look at you, and here's everything that you're doing. But what I love is that, you know, you talk about Nashville sometimes, and you're speaking of Instagram and your Instagram posts. How has it been? You know, there's so many great stars that have been produced in Nashville and it's like the home of country. I'm a huge fan of the city. I mean, before COVID, obviously, I loved visiting. Yes. What has been your favorite part about, like, going to the city and being around that excitement?
Yeah, it's honestly, Nashville is like my favorite place ever. It is, my family calls it like Disney World for adults. Like, it is just, oh my gosh, it's the coolest place. And especially as, you know, a country music artist, like, just knowing that so many people, you know, didn't live there forever like I did. Like, I'm from St. Louis, but moved there and made it happen. Like, I recently watched the Garth Brooks documentary that came out, and he had said he had moved and was in Nashville for 24 hours and then went back home.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's an intimidating city for sure, because even, I mean, I've played down in Nashville a few times, and it's always, I'm just in awe of how many incredible artists and songwriters and people that are there. And it is intimidating. It's like, wow, these people are really good. Like, why should I make it when they're all here too? But it's also, it gives me hope because, you know, so many people are there that love music and that support artists, and you know, that is where a lot of dreams come true. And so, yeah, it's been really cool just to be surrounded by so many people that are as driven as me, especially, you know, in music and in the industry. And yeah, just to be around all of the music and people like me.
Yeah, well, that's what I'll tell you too. And I understand, because even now I still get intimidated sometimes if I go to a new club that I'm not as familiar with, right? Because like, you start at your venues where you're familiar with everybody, you like know the staff, or you produce it on your own. It's when, and then you start taking it up a certain notch and you're like, oh wow, this is new territory for me. I'm with other people. And my friend Natalie gave me the best advice. And it's like, you know, and I'm sure you've probably heard the same thing, but you know, you can't learn if you're the smartest person in the room, right? So kind of apply that to your music, where, you know, you're going to go see these people who are super great, but you also have to remember that you have talent too, because otherwise you wouldn't be surrounded by such amazing people. So like I said, I give it up to you for going out there and trying. Like, there's some people who are even afraid to do that. So, you know, like that's okay. You just got to try and keep going. And like I said, I commend you immensely, especially since you just said that you have performed out there. Was there like a favorite, like out of the shows you've done out there, I guess, is there a certain one? I'm sure they're all wonderful, but was there a certain one that you were really excited about? Was it the first time you performed out there? Tell us everything.
Yes. So yeah, the first time I played, it was really cool. So it was a writer's round, it's called. So there's a few of us songwriters, and we get to go up and play our own music. So that was really cool for me, just because I'm used to playing, you know, I play in St. Louis a ton, I play in Louisville quite a bit, and those are all, you know, I'll mix in a couple of originals, but people want to hear covers. So that's usually what I play. And so it's just, a different experience being in Nashville, where people come to hear your originals and they want to hear, you know, stuff that you've written. And it was just really cool. It was actually my first time playing. It was a night put on by Brickshore Media, by my PR firm. And so it was me and two other girls from our firm, and we took turns just playing our own songs, and it was a good crowd, and it was fun, and it was really cool just to get to play your own stuff and know that that's what people came to hear. Like they came to hear your music. So it was really cool.
Absolutely. Because that's like such a great way of putting it, because that's exactly, I feel like with musicians specifically, that's how we get to know you and what you're about as an audience member, is by hearing what you have written and what you have put together. So I probably would have been super excited and been like, oh my God, this is such a great show. Yes. I love that you do covers though. And that's great. I'm sure and it's totally true. I was just in Cottleville the other night. I went to see, there was a wine bar out there, and my boyfriend's like, there's this really cute band, and he didn't say it that way, but he's gonna be mad. Your mom's gonna be mad at you, my boyfriend's gonna be mad at me. But
right, I know.
We're just killing it, Molly.
Yeah,
great, Molly, everybody. Molly Squared tonight, but yep, it was. They did a bunch of covers, and then they did some original stuff too, and it was great because I personally have such appreciation for it. But when the covers do come on, the audience does get excited because they're like, "Oh, I know this song by Sia." Thrills. This is great.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you, since you have done some, has there been a favorite cover song that you've had that you just seems to be gets the audience going?
Yes. So usually the last 30 minutes or so of my shows, I'll do pretty much all sing-alongs. So we'll do Sweet Caroline, Chicken Fried, Friends in Low Places. I usually end with Country Roads. I just want to get the crowd. Yes, those are the songs that get people going.
Yeah. Oh, especially you put in a jukebox at a bar, it gets people excited. So I can only imagine when it's live and you're like, all right, this is going to be great. What a great way to end. But go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, no. So that's pretty much, that's what I do at the end. And I usually will try to, get everybody singing and dancing and have the crowd sing some stuff. And we just make it a fun last little half hour. I mean, hopefully everyone has fun the whole time, but we make sure that the last half hour, everyone's singing along and dancing and whatever. I just want to make people have fun.
Yeah. That's the way to do it too. Because I feel like it's great to start out with you, but I can understand why the sing along at the end would make a big impact, because it's oh my God, remember you were dancing along with Molly and this was great.
Yes.
Let's look up her song. Good marketing.
Right.
I like how that
yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I was a double major because I did communications marketing and journalism and all. So I was that's a good tool right there. Good for you.
Right.
What I'll ask you, speaking of people dancing and singing along to you, have you ever had, other than me on this podcast, have you ever had a really fun fan encounter with somebody who's maybe it was funny or it was sweet or something around those lines?
Yes. Okay. Actually, just this weekend, it was the coolest thing ever. So I was playing just a winery in St. Louis, Chandler Hill Winery. Mm-hmm. And I was up there playing for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And I saw this man was talking to my parents. And I was like, I don't know who that is. I wonder who that is. And then at the break, he came up and he showed me his phone and he had my music pulled up and he was like, Molly, he was like, I had no idea you were going to be here. I'm a huge fan. He was like, I've been listening to you for months. And I was like, what? You're kidding. Yes. I was like, what? No way. I was so excited. I was probably more excited than he was about seeing me. And he was just he stayed, it was a 4-hour show and he stayed the entire time.
Good for him.
We got a picture at the end. It was the greatest thing ever. He was so excited that it was me. He had no idea I was going to be there. And I was just oh my gosh, you're not one of my family friends or someone who knows me. You're just you're a fan. It was so cool.
Yes. Well, that's always the best feeling, right? Is that it's out of nowhere. And that's when you've started, speaking of, outreach and getting followers and stuff, that's when you've started to reach people. When people you don't know, your high school teacher or, family friend or the person who walked your dog next door. It's somebody who doesn't know you. Because I said, I found her on Facebook and I listened listen to you on Spotify. So I know you've got a few. Remind me, how many albums do you have out? Or
so I have one album out, and then I have 2 other singles out that I've released the past couple of months.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's "Lovin' You" was one of my. I listened to it during the day. I was like on the treadmill the other day. And
oh my gosh.
Yes, and there's like at the end, I know, right? I'm like working out, and it gives me that motivation where you're just at the end, you're like, listen, and I'm like, that's right, Molly, you tell them.
Oh
and I'm
my
like,
gosh.
I'm gonna keep running through this. So everybody download that for sure, and you can feel the way I do on a treadmill, which is great. But what I will say, like, I'm sure it's probably so fun to record your music. What is the best part about that process that you just love doing? Is it the finished product? Is it kind of putting everything together and be the beginning? Tell us where you feel the best.
Yeah, it's honestly, so I remember the first song that I got to record down in Nashville was "Lovin' You."
Oh.
And I will never forget. So my producer and we had sat down and kind of talked through like the song and what we had heard, and like we want these instruments and this and that. But then the actual musicians come in and they listen to the song a couple times, like just me and the guitar. That's all they hear. And so I remember we're all in our little booths, we've got our headphones on and getting ready to record. And I hear that opening riff that they come up with. And I think my jaw just dropped. Like I was like, oh, so this is what the song is going to sound like. Like, wow. Like the coolest thing for me is, I have these songs for months or for years that I've written and that I've known just me and my guitar for so long, and then hearing these musicians take on it and what they do to it is so cool. Like hearing it built up and like come to life. It's crazy.
Oh my God. I'm sure it's the cool, especially when you have other instruments. That's what I was wondering earlier. I was like, how do you feel about that? Because it's so interesting to kind of see when you're seeing even something live, which I kind of miss seeing things live. But you know what? The next drive-in show you do, I'll be there.
Yes, please.
I'm so excited now. I'm going to be I'm like done. But I think that's such a cool thing to kind of see like a song like totally raw, right? And then all of a sudden you hear what you were talking about, like the riff, because I felt the same way too. When the song starts, you're like, all right, this is going to be, and I'm not just saying this because she's on my podcast, but like this is going to be magic. And it totally is. So I totally, it's the same thing with like comedy. When you go on stage and the audience understands your first joke within 30 seconds, you're just like, all right, we're going to be fine.
This is going to be,
Absolutely. What I will say too, I'll ask you really quickly before we get into your song. What do you have coming up that you would like us to know about?
Quite a few things. So I'm super excited.
Good. All right.
This week, I'm super excited. We're actually going to record a music video for a one-woman show.
Okay.
Yes. So my cousin actually is a videographer, and she's awesome.
This family is awesome. This is like a super talented family. Like I didn't even brush my hair today. I got to get on. There we go. But go ahead. This is fantastic. So your cousin,
Thanks. Yeah. So she is making the music video. She actually created the lyric video for "Lovin' You." If you haven't seen that one, check it out on YouTube or whatever.
After this,
Yes. She made that video, and we're getting ready to shoot the music video for "Lovin' You," and so that's one of my exciting things. I'm also getting ready to move to Nashville, so I am. Super excited.
How exciting. I'm so excited for you. And I just met you like an hour ago. This is cool. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's been fun. Like before the whole quarantine and everything, I was kind of back and forth a lot of Nashville and St. Louis. My uncle lives in Nashville. Okay. So I could stay with him when I was there, and that was all great. But I'm ready to just like be there and hopefully make some really really cool connections and make it all happen. But yeah, moving there, it's sounding like it's going to be September. So we will see. But yeah, like super excited about that.
That is so now is your uncle, does he play an instrument or sing too, or does he just live in Nashville?
He just lives in Nashville. He's a big country music fan. I think he's met.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. Yes. He like gets all of the backstage passes and the everything. Like he is a huge country music fan. He goes to a bunch of shows and does stuff.
Well, Nashville's a great city for him then. That's a good place for him to be.
Oh yeah.
Well, Molly, thank you again for coming on. Let's go ahead and let's hear. I know earlier I said, Molly, like, do you need preparation? And she was so smooth about it. She goes, I'm just going to swing out this acoustic guitar and just play it. And I was like, I need that type of smoothness. But let's listen to your new single, One Woman Show, acoustically right here on Casually Molly.
Broken hearts might get me down. Come carry on, pick up your crown. Now I ain't saying that get back on the horse. Take some time to find your shine. Raise the curtain, dim the lights on crazy days, lonely nights, dressing up, taking the stage, gonna be the star. I'm rocking on my own and picking up my phone. Pretty good, putting on the show. So get your tickets now before they sell out. It's just me, myself, and I let you know. Being on the show. You lose yourself for a little while. Don't give up. It's not your style. I've been looking away. All you need is a break. Take some time. Enjoy your shine. Raise the curtain. Dim the lights on crazy days. Lonely nights. A brand new street. Chase the dream. Time is reaching to see. I'm rocking on my own and picking up my phone. Pretty good, putting on the show. So get your tickets now before they sell out. It's just me, myself, and I let you know. Being on the show. I'm rocking on my own and picking up my phone. Pretty good, putting on the show. So get your tickets now before they sell out. It's just me, myself, and I let you know. Being on the show. It's just me, myself, and here I go. But not a one-man show.
Yay! Oh my God, Molly, that was so cool. I can't believe I got to witness that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh. One Woman Show. Where can we find this? Tell us all the details.
Yes, it is on all digital platforms. So Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, whatever you listen to, it will be there.
Oh, perfect. Well, I'm going to make sure that the next time I go work out, I'll do my cool down to One Woman Show. There we go. So
Perfect. Oh, yeah.
I can't wait. But Molly, this has been lovely. And then on social media, where can we find you? I mean, I already know, but for the other people who need to follow you for next year's Christmas party, what do we need to do?
Please, guys, please, yeah. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Molly Lovette. So super easy. Just my name, Molly Lovette. I'm on YouTube if you search Molly Lovette as well. And then my website is mollylovette.com.
All right. We'll make sure to share all of that when this episode comes out. And remember, you can always casually subscribe to the other Molly, me, anywhere, and make sure to look out for Molly Lovette's episode that we have coming up. But Molly, we always ask at the end of our episode what you're going to casually do now. So what's your plan now? I know you've got the 21st birthday with your friends, so.
Yes, that is the plan. I'm getting ready right after this. I'm going to go meet my friends. We're going to go celebrate.
All right. Well, I'll let you go and do that. But thank you again for sitting down with me.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, not a problem. We'll be in touch, and you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, you too. It was good to meet you.
Bye.
Yeah.